if I wanted to. So, but yeah, I get it. Family.
Yeah.
What are some things that you wish photography oriented people would understand or know about photography as a photographer?
That's an interesting question.
Well, because I know that because I've learned a lot since since I've kind of been in your world.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I never thought of it. Like I'll give you one, and it's a simple one. I would have never thought, and this is my male brain, to tip a photographer.
Yeah.
Like it just would have never registered for me.
And
I don't know why.
That's still not.
But it's something that you can do, and something that you.
Sure, and it's nice too, and everyone has their different opinions on that. But I've never like offended when I don't get tipped.
Yeah.
Because I charge what I think is fair, and that would be probably my answer to your question is like the charging aspect. I know it's like an uncomfortable topic, but before I started doing photography, I'm like, okay, you're pointing and shooting and editing, and like why am I paying $300, right? But it's like the 1 hour of shooting, and then it's for every hour it's like 2.5 to 3 hours of editing, and then it's the $60 memory CF cards to hold your photos, and then it's like the gallery that I upload them to is also a monthly fee, and then it's the camera, and then and you guys probably know with podcast stuff, like it's not just a microphone and headphones, right? Like you're constantly pouring in, and that's where it can't be about the money, otherwise you would hate it.
Yeah.
Because you're constantly probably
That's such a problem with like gig workers in that way.
Yes.
Like photographers, and like I've done video work before, and like music production, and it's such a like abstract thing for people because it's some of those professions that people assume, like, I don't know, it's the whole like, if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life thing is detrimental to these businesses, because people are like, oh, well, aren't you you're just going to take pictures you're just going to like write a song for me real quick. Like that's what you love to do. This is what you're passionate about. It's like, yes, but I'd love to make some money while I'm being passionate about it.
And speaking of that, it's like also the boundaries of who you know and like your friends.
Yep.
Yeah,
like,
we've had a big deal with that.
Yeah. And I've had even like people
that.
I've met once or twice at an event reach out and say, oh, well, I thought we were friends. Like, could you just do a couple of free photos?
God.
And it's like, my best friends always pay me. Even though when I beg them not to, when I tell them I would like to do this for you, they always do. And I'm not saying, there are times where I just like love, and I'm sure you guys have experienced this, just love to like bless your friends and say like, I want to do this for you.
Yep.
But the expectation of it, or like, and what you're saying, you love to do this, right?
Yeah.
Like, can't you just do it?
And I think there's a line too that you surpass in these things, like photography or videography or even music production, where like you've put so much time and effort into becoming so good at the craft that you can't, it's not like it surpasses the hobby level, and that's where you have to be realistic. And I know, I've been around, it's been tough, like, people wanting free photo shoots or free photos, and you're like, you kind of have to set the boundary. You're like, this is how I make money.
It's like, I'm providing a service. Like, this is not, I'm not just like waving my art wand and like doing, whipping something up for you. Like, I'm literally working to make this for you.
Yeah. And right now I'm in full-time school and grad school, and it's really tough, and I don't have time to work.
Yep.
Other than that. So I come home and visit, and I fill my week home with photography. So it's like, as much as I'd want, and even with my friends, like, if you at least offer to pay, like, that means so much, right? Yep. So yeah, it's not something that you're saying I wave my magic wand and I never
have a problem with other artists. It's always people that, and not to like bag on non-artists, but it's people that don't really understand what all goes into it, like you said.
Well, yeah, and there are people, like I said, not to name names, that I know. I've known people who, like, they don't understand. They're like, why am I paying this amount of money for this? And they don't understand until they see the product, And so I think and artists, like you said, other producers, they understand that it's a craft, It's interesting, that culture that can live in tandem, where you're like, I love doing this so much. But also, like, if somebody asked me to do it for them for free, I would love it less, you know? And I love that, like,
Of course.
That, again, I think it's when it surpasses that hobby level, when we get into the level where like, I've done this for so long. I've tried hard to hone my craft, and now I'm just not willing to do it for less than this. And like you said, a lot of friends, we would, if they just offered, we'd say no. Like, of course, they'll do it, but the offer means much more than the money,
And it's also something that I would want people who aren't in the field, and that's with what you're saying, like videography or, like graphic design. If you want to pay $50 for wedding photos, you're going to get photos that are worth $50, right?
That's right.
Like you really do get what you pay for. So sometimes you just have to draw the line and be like, hey, I know other photographers that charge that much, and I can point you towards them, but I just
like if that's your budget, by all means, like
for sure.
go for that.
Yes.
If you want the quality that I'm offering you, this is where it's at.